Next up for us is Kyle Busch. He drives the number 18 Pedigree Toyota this weekend for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's currently fourth in points. He has one win on the season. Kyle, you're coming to Martinsville Speedway. Certainly you've had a lot of success at short tracks, and come in here to Martinsville, I think, looking for your first win here at Martinsville. So talk about the challenges that it might throw out there at you.
Martinsville is a challenging track in itself already anyway. So with the short track feel that we had a couple weeks ago at Bristol, that's always fun for us. Seems to be like a place we really can run well at. Same with Richmond, just trying to hit stride here at Martinsville. Just kind of a tough little tricky racetrack, and still probably figuring things out. But the guys have done a really nice job with our cars here lately, where we've come here a lot better prepared, and we've been able to have better results. Still qualifying kind of eludes us, but in the race, once we kind of get into a rhythm and get moving, it seems to go our way. And, we finished, I think, fourth here last year. So I'm looking forward to trying to improve on that. You pretty much you can almost guarantee the top two spots be either the 11 and the 48, so everybody's racing for third. But it seems like I can't even get to third yet. So we'll see what we can figure out here this weekend.
Take questions for Kyle. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll come to you with a wireless mic. Let's take the gentleman there in the Braves cap, and then we'll move along.
Hi, Drew Wilson, Danville Register and B. Obviously, it's early in the season, and you want to be, in the top part of the points. But when do you really start taking stock and where you are?
I think you actually want to try to do that sooner rather than later. It's about Charlotte time, about the end of May. When you get into the season and you look at where you're at, you're about going to be where you're going to be when you come down to chase time. So you'll kind of look at Charlotte and kind of evaluate where you're at, and you can pretty much say you're either going to be four positions. You can be four positions better or five positions worse once you get down to chase time and Loudon, which is actually Chicago this year. So it can go either way. If you're really good, you can be four better. If you kind of hit a roadblock and you have some bad races, you can probably be about five worse. So that's how we look at it. And right now I think we're solid fourth or something like that. So I don't even watch or pay attention to them right now. It's just if you have good results, they'll take care of themselves.
Let's go here, Claire, and then Bob Pockris, and then Joe Menzer. Go ahead.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius NASCAR Radio. Do you think the patience that you've gained will help you here, that you can be patient at a short track like this? And second, do you expect to have any practical jokes played on you today, or do you plan to play any for April Fools?
I didn't even realize it was April Fools, so thanks for the wake-up. Now I'll know if I'm getting screwed with or not. First part was what? Patience. I've grown a little bit of patience, I'd say, but here at Martinsville, it's tough sometimes. I mean, when you're outside row, eight back, you're stuck. You're pretty much battling as hard as you can to try to get to the bottom or to try to get into a lane that you can get away from some guys and not have them all over you the whole time or roughing you up a little bit. So, to me, that's just kind of Martinsville racing here. If you're in the top four, you can pretty much get single filed out pretty quick, and you can kind of ride your own race and pay attention to your own car and not have to worry about everybody else. But when you get back in traffic, you're pretty much at the mercy of everybody else, and you're watching the beating and banging that's going on, and you're trying to figure out what lane's going to move. It's like rush hour traffic. There isn't a third lane. You're pretty much stuck in two, so you're kind of trying to weave your way in and out of traffic.
Let's go to Bob Pockris. Raise your hand here, Bob. Right here. Front row, Bob Pockris, Joe Menzer, and then Viv.
Bob Pockris, SingDaily.com. Can you give us any sort of update on the engine issues Joe Gibbs Racing has been having? And also, as a driver, do you want to know exactly do you ask, hey, what happened, or do you just have to put that out of your mind and drive?
Yeah, no, I do ask what happened. Because I'm kind of intrigued to all aspects of the car and trying to figure out ways to make it better or what have you. So I've heard a little bit about the problems we had this weekend. I know there are some valve issues and stuff like that. I don't want to elaborate too much on it, but it's something that at least we know what happened. We know where the source of the problem is. So anytime that you can figure all that out, you're moving forward. So for us, it was like my bottom end issue that we had at Las Vegas. That was catastrophic failure. We don't know what happened. So we haven't been able to diagnose that, but we haven't had any of those in so long that we don't know if it was just a part malfunction or just something that we missed or what. But we already found the source of last week's issues with both Denny and Joey, and so we feel pretty confident we're heading in the right direction with that stuff.
Let's go Joe Menzer, Viv, and then Rusty. Joe, raise your hand, please.
Joe Menzer, NASCAR.com. Hey, how do you feel about the new qualifying schedule here, and do you feel like you have an advantage with doing the trucks?
I think it's definitely interesting. It's definitely different for sure. We have 2 truck practices and 2 cup practices, and then we're done for the day. We come in and qualify the cup car tomorrow, and that's it. So it's kind of awkward, to be honest with you. But I don't know. We'll see how it works out. Excuse me. I was always partial to the old schedule. I always kind of like that. I like getting a little bit of practice in. I like qualifying, going home, thinking about it, and getting some ideas, coming back, working on your race practice tomorrow, and going through all of that before the truck race. So that's kind of. I always thought that was a really smart way to do it, and they've always done it that way for a long time. So that was why they probably did it. And so this is just going to be a little bit different now. Now you have practice, which. It depends on what crew chief you're with and how they lay it out, but you have your first practice, which you're most likely going to work on race run stuff, and then you're going to go into the second practice. Do you continue to work on race run stuff, or do you make a qualifying run and then switch back into race trim? What do you do? So it's kind of difficult to figure all that out, and sometimes for the crew chiefs to get an idea of how they want to do it or how they want to structure it. So we'll see what happens, but we'll keep a close eye on what other guys are doing. For in the back of our minds for if somebody does it better than we do.
Let's go Viv, Rusty, and then Diego. Go ahead.
Viv Bernstein, New York Times. I want to ask you about Paul Menard. Has he earned any bit of respect in the garage for the start he has, or are you all sort of waiting for things to shuffle out and him to maybe go back to where he was usually racing?
From my vantage point, I can't speak for the other drivers, but I think Paul's a fine race car driver. I've had some issues with him in the past in a nationwide series, but that's all been blown over. But him and I, we've raced well. We've raced hard with each other a long time, and I remember I never raced against him, but he came from the Southwest Tour days, the Northwest Tour, the Midwest Tour, those kind of series, and he won some races there and then got his opportunity to move up. So he's moved up through the ranks. He's won races where he's been before. Maybe not as many as other people have, but still, I think where he's at right now in the points this year is good. Is really good for him. It's really good for the Menards brand, and I hope that he's successful enough to stay there or maybe even win a couple this year. I think he's with a really good team.